Jerry used to say, and Esther loved it when he said it because it was a different way of saying something that she had heard a long time. He used to say, when you plant a seed of corn, you don't get a tulip. And Esther thought about that. She concurred. When you plant a seed of anything, the plant that comes is a vibrational match to the seed that you've planted. So we want to submit to you that when you wake up in the morning and you recall something unwanted from yesterday, you have planted a seed of something unwanted that has the potential, the very real potential of manifesting in this day. Esther had the most glorious experience last weekend at the fair with grandchildren who got off on different foots. Or is it feets? Kate got off on the life is good and treats me good foot, and Luke got off on the it's not fair and nothing goes well for me foot. And it was like watching that seed sprout into a full-blown plant all day long. Everything that Kate did, all the little joints where she was trying to win, most of them she won. Nothing would go well for Luke. It was such an interesting thing to watch. And Esther took more delight than maybe she should have in observing the way their days were unfolding. Of course, wanting both of them to live happily ever after and realizing that they change roles quite often. And most of all, she recognized the Kate in herself and the Luke in herself. In other words, she recognized that some days she's in a point of attraction that's not going that well. And so she's been thinking a lot about planting the happy seed and what that will produce. We've been talking to you for quite a while about being the creator of your own experience. And we explained to you that you were source energy before you came into these physical bodies. And even though you are in this physical body now, the larger part of you, that larger source energy part of you, remains non-physically focused and is in a very high-flying, good-feeling vibrational place. And you have a vibrational relationship with that very high-flying, good-feeling aspect of you. In fact, every emotion that you feel is your indicator of whether you're in sync with that flawless, meaning resistant-free aspect of yourself, or whether you've picked up enough along your physical trail and, this is the most important thing you will hear from us today, or maybe ever, and activated in this day and are using it as a point of resistance against who you really are. We want you to understand that your momentum is something that you start every morning, and it doesn't need to go past sleeping that night. But it often does because you're so good at remembering what happened yesterday. You're so good at blogging about it, writing it down, remembering it, conversing about it, repeating it. You're so good at keeping the unwanted and wanted things active that you get sort of all of those things. And so Esther recognizes that she has the potential of flying high, getting into that really good feeling place and maintaining it, and that if she's deliberately doing it every morning, she has a better chance of doing it the next morning and the next morning and the next morning and the next morning. We've been talking to you for a while about all kinds of processes that you can use to clarify your vibration, processes that help you to release resistance. But now that we are talking about the momentum of your reality, the momentum that is caused by the law of attraction, we really want to say to you that if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would go to bed the night before intending to have a good day tomorrow, planting that seed of happy. And then when we awaken, we would focus as quickly as we can on anything that we could find that makes us feel in the direction of happy. And then we would see what that day brings, not struggling or trying too hard to clamber back up the emotional scale. We've been offering you a story. In fact, it may be our favorite story that we sort of kind of get from you. Because sometimes it is as if you say to us, Abraham, I have fallen out of an airplane and I have no parachute. What do you suggest that I now do? And our favorite answer to you is, hang on, it will be over in a little bit. And we really mean that. And it is what we want to say to you in many ways about the negative emotion that you're feeling. Rather than clamoring really hard to try to fix it, which for you usually means justify it, rather than clamoring so hard to just it or fix it in the middle of negative momentum, just let that negative momentum play itself out. It will. And we want to say to you emphatically that one day's focus is enough momentum for you to allow anything that you want to flow into your experience. You don't quite believe that, so you've got some anti-momentum going there. But nevertheless, it is the way that it is. So, as Esther, it's always easier when you're watching others, isn't it? It's easy to see that your mood is getting that. Kate's mood, they had gone to the fair because they wanted to go to the concert because Train was there. And the kids love Train. Esther does too. And so they're sitting in the audience, and after a day of Kate winning this and this and this and this and this, and Luke saying, I don't think they want me to win. It's not sad. Don't feel bad for him. He flies high mostly. But on that day, fallen out of an airplane. That night, Kate was one of the handful who was selected to go on the stage with Train. How good does that get? How good does that get? She thought she was going to die of happiness. And Luke thought he was going to die of unhappiness. And then the concert was over. The audience demanded an encore with their exuberance. Demand may not be the right word, but they got one. And then the lead singer comes out, and he's got 3 last T-shirts, and he throws them into the audience, and guess who gets one? Kate, of course. Of course, it's Kate. So Esther has been taking delight in that day because these 2 brilliant little kids who she loves more than life itself are demonstrating for her what she wants to know about her own life. So yesterday, she gets up, she's thinking about you, she's pretty happy about you, and then emails started coming in of things that she needed to tend to before she left for the hotel. Too many things to tend to than she could possibly deal with. And then text messages started flying back and forth. Too many text messages for her to deal with. And she's watching the clock because she's picking people up from the airport. And she has this chair in her house and wants to put it in the back of the car. And didn't want to bother anybody. And it's not that heavy. But how do you get it in the back of the car? And managed to get it in the back of the car. And then realized there may not be enough room for all of the luggage of all of the people that she was going to pick up from the airport. So now she's moving the luggage from the back of the car to the back seat. And she is thinking, I should have allowed more time. And then... So you're getting the sense of where she was at, what disc she was flying on, sort of one of overwhelmment or time shortageness. So now she's got the tailgate of her Escalade up, and she knows enough not to put the tailgate up while the garage door is up because it bumps on it. So the garage door was still down when she put the tailgate up, so she's got everything loaded in, and then she thinks, time to go, and pushes the button and puts the garage door up while the tailgate is up. Ripped the windshield wiper right off the back of the car. It's just sort of dangling there by its little water cord. And Esther began to laugh. She said, this is my version of Luke's day at the fair. It was a perfect vibrational match to what she was feeling. And she knows, because we've been talking for a while, that this emotional scale, you know, as you are sifting through the contrast of your life experience, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. So you're launching these rockets of desire, and they are causing momentum in what we are calling your vortex of creation. It's a vibrational version of momentum that will and is sweeping up all cooperative components in its path. The question is, are you a cooperative component? So when you are asking for all of these wonderful things that you want, but you are complaining, or you are in some sort of anger, or worse, despair, there are all kinds of emotions on this emotional scale, aren't they? All the way from ecstasy and love and feeling wonderful, right down to fear and despair and some of everything in between. So you've launched this vortex of creation, but the question is, where are you as you stand in your physical body projecting your vibrational outputs? where are you in relationship to what's in your vortex? And that really is what we want to talk about all day, every day, is what you are doing with your point of attraction. What's your point of attraction? What's your current output? Now, there are two ways to figure it out. One is by the way it feels, and the other is by the windshield wiper that's dangling on the back of the car. In other words, that said it all. Esther stood and looked at it and laughed and laughed and laughed. It could not have been a more perfect indicator of how she was feeling. She didn't know if she was coming or going, and neither did the garage door or the car door. In other words, it was a perfect vibrational match to what she was feeling. And so we are wanting you to be, and Esther, to be more aware of what your point of attraction is. And so we've been talking to you for a while that you are putting these things into your vortex. Are you following that? There's a vibrational version of everything that you want that you have launched, and that you have some vibrational relationship to it that you can tell by the way you're feeling. And so if you have asked for prosperity and physical well-being and love and appreciation, if you're asking for clarity, if you're asking for all of those things that you want, but you're standing in a vibrational frequency that doesn't match up, in the same way that you can't set your radio dial on 101 and hear what's being broadcast on 97, your frequencies have to match up. And the frequencies of your output have to match up with the frequencies of what you've asked for. It's just the way this and all universes work. It's the way law of attraction responds to everything. So we began talking about your point of attraction. We began calling it your grid. It's your grid, meaning it's like the framework that we'll fill in later with the physical details. And now we're wanting you to envision this spinning grid. It's like a disc which equals your point of attraction. And that disc is spinning in direct relationship with how you're feeling. When you're elated, high-flying disc. So under those conditions, those things in your vortex that you've been putting there over a long period of time, and even before you came into this physical body, can flow easily into your experience for your immediate realization and enjoyment. But if you are feeling frustrated, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then those high-flying things that you've been asking for aren't coming to you, but something is. And what we want you to begin noticing is that what's coming to you always matches the disc you're on, which means it would really be prudent for you to tend to your disc placement. Because you can do it. You can do it. You have the ability to identify whether you want to be on the disc of despair, on the disc of revenge, on the disc of overwhelmment, on the disc of hope, on the disc of love and appreciation and joy and clarity and all of that stuff that feels so good. You get to choose. Now, of course, you can't choose it and be it immediately. In other words, Esther didn't jump right up on that disc. She went and got the duct tape. She couldn't believe it. She's got duct tape all over the back of her beautiful car. Duct tape for everyone to see that represents the dysfunction of her morning. But you know, you've got duct tape all over you too. You got duct tape all over you displaying the dysfunction of your disc choosing. And so what we want you to do is not struggle or clamor or don't try to cover up the duct tape. It's uncover-upable. Just accept it as the indicator of where you have been. And then every day, just make the decision that you're going to do the best job you can of picking the high-flying disc. And what you begin to notice is it's easier and easier to pick the high-flying disc. It's easier and easier to stay on the high-flying disc. And what looks like magic to other people begins to be the life that you live. Because good thing after good thing after good thing flows into your experience.